back to the channel. I'm J and we are locked in. This is the recap for episode 8 of season 3, Raising Kanan. And let me tell you, Rock has been getting MVP as these last 2 episodes have been unfolding. And I can only imagine what's ahead of us. But right now, let's break down this episode 8 because people are running around trying to make sure that they are all safe when all of these bodies start turning up and the feds start asking questions. Now, before we jump into this and we give the recap of episode 8, if you like power content, breakdowns, theories, and predictions, recaps, after show discussions, or just a free time to talk about power, then hit your subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. I'm on that road to 50,000 subscribers, so each and every one of you, I appreciate you. And if you don't see this video at 100 likes, hit that like button. Now, in this episode, we start to see a more developed snaps and pops. They're going to start getting into it with Raquel, and this is about to make the season end in a bang. So let's jump into it. This is episode 8, the recap. We start the episode off with the infamous, "We straight up killers, yo." Well, Lulu's been having a lot on his shoulders because of catching all these bodies have really been doing a toll on him. He goes to Raquel's house. He's drunk, he's yelling, and Rock got to bring him in the house before the neighbors come outside and start asking questions about what the hell is actually going on and what does he mean we're straight up killers. Kanan is sitting down with Snaps and Pops and they're asking him questions. They're basically testing him to see where he's at because now that we're in the game moving H and making money, it's a must that we know where your head is at. Now they ask him a question and they also give him a drink, but he denies the drink. And he said, just like your dad DEFCON, he didn't drink, but a lot of people respected him. And you hear Ronnie say he was feared. So the question asked to Kanan, would you rather be feared or respected? And Kanan says it's a trick question. Because if you're feared, people respect you. And if people respect you, they have fear. Juke and Aisha have really became close. You know, you heard Crystal call them Pukebox and Jukebox. Well, they're over here and they're having a little sleepover because they're in a group together. Now, Aisha, she's talking about how she might not be as good as Jukebox and Crystal when it comes to dancing and the moves. But Juke is saying have some confidence. And then she sees Nikki's picture. So she realizes that Jukebox like girls. So Aisha is saying, okay, that's cool. And we can see the bond between these two starting to build because Jukebox has been taken up for Aisha. Marvin has been spying on Kanan because his sister, Rock, told him he's been hanging out with Ronnie. Now, Marvin knew that Kanan was selling a little bit of marijuana, but since he's running with Ronnie, it's got to be more than marijuana. So when Marvin pulls up and he sees this, he's thinking Rock was right about this. So Marvin begins to follow one of the couriers just to see what exactly Kanan and Ronnie are selling in these streets because it was marijuana. But this operation looks a little too big to just be marijuana. Juke gets named the leader of the group. This makes Crystal very, very mad. So Aisha, she's been talking to Kanan, but Kanan's moved on from her ever since the movie incident. And now Crystal has been moving in. Last week we seen that Crystal invited Kanan over and they did what they did. This makes Jukebox furious because she told Crystal not to mess with Kanan. And if you look at her face here, she's looking at Juke like, I got you. Now she's one up. And Aisha says, don't worry about it, Jukebox. I don't need Kanan. As long as I got you, we're good. So again, the bond is getting closer and closer between these two. Marvin followed one of the guys on the bikes. Now this gentleman is over here. He's doing a drop off, dropping off some money, picking up some work. When he gets ready to leave, Marvin is waiting on him on the side of the building, snatches him up off the bike. And what Marvin does from here, he doesn't rob him. He just wants to see what exactly is being moved in these streets. And once he goes through the bag, he finds out that they're moving H, heroin. And he's looking at it like, wait a minute. Kanan has scaled his business up this big, this fast. I got to take this back to Rock. And he also gives some advice to the young man and says the judge will give you 7 to 10 years for this bag. Lou was drunk. He finally wakes up. Rock told Marvin that they're going to bring their mom over here to watch him. Marvin wanted Lulu to get some help, but that's not what Rock wants because Lou already been running his mouth. Now Mama comes over and she asks for some money to babysit Lulu because she's always asking for money. Now when Lulu wakes up and he sees his mom down here, she gives him a plate full of burnt toast and burnt eggs. Of course, none of us are eating it. Lulu doesn't want to be here because he has plans of his own. He ends up leaving the house. Now Mom is saying, you're not supposed to leave, and I'm going to tell Rock. Lou, with no response, leaves the house that's smelling like burnt toast and burnt eggs. On top of Raquel running around, she has 20 new Chinese restaurants, and she goes to talk to this guy named Terry. She's trying to get appliances and a good deal from him so she can start moving work a little more easily and up under the radar. Now he's denying working with her. When she goes to talk to Quan because she's been putting moves in place, Quan is saying that there's competition on the street. We know that competition is Kanan and Ronnie because Marvin just found out. But for Rock, this is her first time finding out that there is somebody that's moving just the amount of work as they are or more. So Quan is saying you need to get this together or we're going to have issues because I already gave you a 2-month deadline. So Rock, feeling pressured, she gets up. But when her back's against the wall, we know that Rock is always going to work no matter what the circumstances are. We get a meeting between Nikki's dad and Burke's dad, the two fathers who lost their daughters. Now, one was from drugs and the other one was from a self-inflicted wound in the vehicle, but we know it was actually Detective Howard. So when he comes over, he's asking questions about Nikki, saying Shannon wouldn't have done that to anybody. And he's like, look, I know it's tough out here, but the police told me not to talk about nothing. And plus another officer came over and spoke to me. So Shannon's dad is looking like, who was that officer? Nikki's dad says, I can't tell you this. And he says, Detective Howard. So now Detective Howard is on the radar because both fathers are seeing a connection. Marvin continues to look for Lulu, who ended up going to the studio with Shirley and giving her a cassette. But once Rock gets here, he briefs her on what he knows. Rock says there's competition, and Marvin, he just tosses the Southside pack on the table and says, yeah, there is competition. Well, your son Kanan is running with Ronnie, and they're moving H. So they're on a whole nother level right now. And Rock just got information from Quan that's telling her we need to eliminate the competition and make an example out of them. Well, eliminating the competition means she will be eliminating her own son, Kanan. So now this has her in a predicament. Does she obey the orders of the supplier, or does she figure out a way to get Kanan back up under her roof where she doesn't have to deal with him as competition? Well, the first move that Rock puts in place calls CPS. She calls Child Protective Services to go get Kanan. This will get him off the street because if not, he'll get sent away to a boys' school and he will have a charge. So she shows up and Kanan is at the spot, the trap house, Famous's old apartment with Crystal. Now the lady shows up and says, well, Kanan, you got 24 hours to get home or we're going ahead and ship you away. So Rock, plan 1 is in effect. Plan 2 is showing up to Snaps and Pops and letting them know, hey, stop messing with my son. Now everybody knows each other when it comes to this drug business. Snaps, Pop, OGs. OG drug dealers, OG bank robbers, and they knew Rock when Rock was very young. But Rock, as she said, she ain't jump roping no more. And what does that mean? She ain't playing no games. And she tells Snaps, you need to leave my son alone and let Kanan come back to being a child up under my roof. Well, Snaps takes this as a form of disrespect and says this ain't got nothing to do with Ronnie no more. This is a war between us and Rock since she came in here trying to stand on business. Jukebox ends up getting jumped at the train station because Crystal sent some of her homegirls over here to handle business. Now, back in the studio, they're getting ready for their last performance before they get out there and do the real performance with this artist. Now, Jukebox shows up late. The manager's looking at her. What happened? No excuses. Well, Juke goes over to Crystal and tells Crystal, you sent your girls, but they went home with a few lumps. Yeah, they jumped Juke, but Juke made it back, and then Juke handled her business in the rehearsal. So we got to see where this Butter group is going to go moving forward. Marvin has been moving around the city, and what he's doing now is telling Terry, and Terry is the guy that Rock was trying to buy appliances from for these businesses so they could start moving work. Well, what Marvin does is devises a plan. He buys this girl a P2, gives her some money, and she sets up Terry. And what happens is he gets some unapproved pictures of Terry to blackmail him. If Terry doesn't make the deal with Rock, then these photos will be sent to Terry's wife and everything will come crumbling down. So Marvin is doing exactly what Rock wants. And now we potentially have a deal. And as you can see, Terry, he ain't going with it, but he's just going to have to stick with this deal because if not, his wife will get all this information. There's been some speculation about Gerald. Well, him and Marvin were having an interview about Jukebox, and he starts asking questions about bulletproof records and being tied to the mob. This has Marvin very, very suspicious, and he says, you've been talking to the police about me? And Gerald is saying, that's what my job is. I'm a journalist. Well, later on that evening, after Marvin gets done with Gerald, we see that the feds pull up to Gerald's house while he's playing Candyland with his kids. And they're telling Gerald, if you don't give us information on Marvin, then you're going to be going to jail in Sing Sing and playing board games in the waiting room. So it looks like Gerald is a CI for the feds, and if he doesn't come up with information on Marvin or the Thomas family, it's jail time for him. So Marvin was right when he said, "Why are you talking to the police about me, Gerald?" Rock has been running around. She went to Joaquin and she's talking to him about her cousin Juliana. Well, Juliana's been doing deals behind his back with Ronnie. Rock gets permission to go handle her business. She shows up, Juliana is drying dishes, and Juliana tries to talk her way out of this. "I got money, I can pay you." But we know that this beef between these two have stemmed for a while. Rock shoots her in the leg and tells her, "I don't ever lose, I always win." And from there, this is the demise and the end of Juliana as we knew her in the Power Universe, as Rock puts one in her leg, two in the chest, and one in the head. RIP to Juliana, and Rock is officially in the game. All right, there you go. The recap for episode 8 of Raising Kanan. What was the best moment for you in this episode? Me personally, taking out Juliana, magnificent. I like the cartel, but I like to see Rock even more when Rock is in the streets and not Raquel Thomas. Let me know what you think. I'm MoDIJ. This is the recap. I'm on that road to 50,000 subscribers. So if I said something that made you go, or made you think, then hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'm out.